Welcome everyone. My name is Brandon Jewell. I am with the Career Technical Education Foundation of Sonoma County. And we are here for kind of a unique thing. We're here today to discuss a very important topic that is on many people's minds. And hold on one second. I was hearing my own echo in the YouTube with a delay. Sorry about that. So we're here for a really unique thing. COVID is changing the way that we see careers now, but also it's changing the future of careers. And this is especially important to students because you are the future of our workforce. And we want you to be ready and we want you to succeed. So we are here to help prepare you for what might be a whole new kind of workforce. And to help us discuss this, we are here with two incredible people from a big name in Sonoma County, Keysight Technologies. Before I introduce them though, I do want to encourage you to comment and to ask any questions that you might have while we're going through this. And I will try my best to pull those into our conversation if I can get to them in time. So I want to welcome Alicia Benson and Hamish Gray from Keysight Technologies. Welcome, both of you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
So I'm going to have each of you, Hamish, maybe you can start, give a quick 1-minute bio about who you are. And then if you can also just say why this topic is so important to you personally.
Sure, great. Thanks for the opportunity, Brandon. So my name is Hamish Gray. I'm a Senior Vice President at Keysight Technologies. It's a company I've actually had the honor and privilege of working for more than 30 years. And it's a company that I joined straight out of college back in Scotland in the United Kingdom. And after joining in Scotland and after working in a number of other countries, I eventually made my way to the USA in 2002, and then eventually ended up in Sonoma County in 2014. Although today I'm calling you actually from Colorado. I'm calling in from Colorado today because this new COVID work at home environment allows me to work from different places, which is pretty cool. It's really simple, Brandon, in terms of why this topic is really important to us. It's the world we're living in today, and it's the world we're going to be living in the future. Okay. At the end of the day, Keysight, we need to keep innovating, right? The world doesn't stop because COVID-19 came along. Right? We need to keep innovating. Our customers are relying on us to keep innovating. Our business needs to keep going because our employees need us to be paying them. We need our employees to keep the business going, and those employees and their families are keeping our communities safe and healthy. So that's why this topic is extremely important to me. Alicia?
Yeah, sure. Let me introduce myself first. So Alicia Benson. I'm close to Hamish, but not that close. I've worked for Keysight for 24 years. I actually started working for them right out of high school. So they were my first real job. As a young person, I worked as an assembler there and have been there ever since. Always in Santa Rosa, though. I haven't moved around as much as Hamish has, but the company does allow you a chance to do that. I was born and raised though in Santa Rosa, so I grew up at the same schools that probably some people here on the phone went to: Lincoln Elementary, Shepherd, Roseland, Santa Rosa Middle, Santa Rosa High School, and the JC. So great schools. You guys are lucky to live in Santa Rosa where we have all these resources, but I'm real familiar with them where a lot of people have grown up. Excited about this opportunity to talk to you guys about the new normal with COVID. I can just imagine what a change it is for all of you, but it's an exciting change if you look at it through the lens of where we're going in the future and the advances in technologies that you're experiencing, and we are as well.
Thank you both. Thank you. Hamish, do you mind taking a minute or two just to give a quick overview? For those who don't know, just let them know what Keysight Technologies is.
Sure. Yeah. So Keysight Technologies, we are a technology company. We've been around for about over 80 years, essentially. We've changed names, but we've been around for about 80 years. And at the highest level, what we do is we accelerate innovation to connect and secure the world, okay? More importantly, what we're really doing is we're innovating to help customers deliver what's next. So let me break that down for you a little bit. Is essentially anything that has an electronic signal, Keysight's there. So your smartphones, your tablets, your IoT devices, your connected cars, your general electronics. Most likely, most of those out there today in the marketplace are products or components inside of those products that Keysight Technologies help deliver. We probably worked on those years ago. So what our engineers are working on today is the type of devices that you will probably have in your hands in a few years' time, as an example. So really and truly, we're a leading edge company, and none of these technologies could come to fruition without Keysight's people or engineers delivering them. In particular, the specific example to give you is with regards to 5G. Everyone's heard about 5G because we all want to stream videos all day, have dead points. It always goes, works flawlessly. There is literally not a 5G experiment or deployment in the world that does not have Keysight assisting them today. So it's a really cool company that you've got in Sonoma County, headquartered there.
Thank you. So now I want to get right down into it. COVID has changed everyone's life. I mean, literally around the world, there's not a single person who hasn't felt an impact with COVID. And the students who are watching this are, they're impacted. And I know your business is impacted too. And one of the biggest ways that we can all feel it right away is how we're communicating with each other. I mean, this right here is an example of that. Normally, we would be together and we would have invited these students maybe in person to see this panel interview, but we have to do it virtually. So maybe you can talk about how COVID has changed the way that those within Keysight are communicating with one another.
Well, I'll start off. So it has been a massive change. So our culture has always been an in-person culture. So although we have employees all around the world that we talk with, our offices, the expectation is that all employees come to the office every single day. Meetings are face-to-face. They're in conference rooms. You write on a whiteboard. Maybe you present something on a video in PowerPoint at the front of the room. You have lunch with your coworkers and talk with them about family things and all these things. Everything was face-to-face. And so when we had to transition to a purely virtual environment, it was a major shock for someone. I'll be honest, just me having my video on feels weird. I'm still getting used to it. And within Keysight, we actually had to set some mandates with the managers top down to turn on the video because so many of the employees were just so uncomfortable with it. They had never done it before. Our communication was much more formal before, so we would print things out and present them in meetings. And now we're transitioning to some collaborative tools where we're using things like emojis or GIFs or memes, some of these things that I'm sure everyone on the phone here knows everything about, but as an older workforce, a lot of us had to learn this stuff on the fly and very, very quickly. We're getting there though. It's surprising how quickly we're picking it up, but I'll tell you what, when I see my kids, I have 2 juniors in high school, when I see them interacting on Google or Zoom, I'm a little jealous because they navigate it so much easier than I do. So the skills that you guys are learning right now are going to give you an edge on anybody, especially adults, unfortunately, as you move in, because you're basically getting a crash course on communicating virtually, which probably is going to end up being a college course, and you guys are just learning it day to day. So every second that you spend in these classes are actually really setting you up for the future.
Hamish, do you want to say anything, or you think that's?
I think Alicia just nailed it. Absolutely, no, it's
okay. Good. Well, as I'm watching the comments, some of these people are saying, "Well, I love technology." Well, great. That's perfect. Good. Because whether you love it or hate it, you're in it now. I mean, so if you love it, you have an edge. So you mentioned, Alicia, about communication virtually, but let's talk about collaboration, because I mean, when you can't go to an office, when you can't meet with people in person on a project, how has that changed the way that those at Keysight collaborate with one another?
Well, it's completely changed it. I mean, we're a technology company, so we do a lot of project planning. The process usually involves getting, one member of each team into a conference room, writing down things on the walls. Maybe there's someone that comes in later and copies everything that was written down on the walls into a spreadsheet and emails out all the action items. That was probably how we did it before. Now we've had to learn to do this virtually, which is, to be honest, turning out to be better than what we did before. So we didn't see the inefficiency in some of the activities that we're doing. So for example, we're able to create project plans virtually, but also enter them into things like Smartsheets or Google Notes, where everyone can see them at the same time. It's much more efficient, to be honest, than it used to be. And a quick story on this is I've been in a lot of meetings before COVID where maybe it was 5 people at our locations. You could call them classrooms, but 5 different sections of the site. And they would have a room number assigned to where we were supposed to go, and one person would show up and everyone else would be doing it virtually. And so we were actually kind of already doing this in some ways on our own, collaborating virtually. We just didn't really
Alicia, you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. You want to repeat the last 30 seconds or so?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Where did I drop off?
I don't know, like about 30 seconds ago.
Just about where some
part.
people won't turn up to the meeting room, Alicia. That's all. That was the part.
Yeah, so what we were actually collaborating before virtually, we just didn't really realize it because we would all take calls from our desks, even though we could have gotten together in the same room.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the things, Brandon, I just want to add on this topic,
Yeah.
but I think this collaboration thing is really important people get, right? Especially for a technology company, okay? Innovation is much better when there's collaboration. The reason is we all come from different backgrounds. We've all got different experiences. It's diversity of thought, diversity of experience. That is actually what makes the best innovations out there, is when you get that collaboration and diversity of thought. So inside of Keysight, as Alicia mentioned before, people would come together, but we would be flying people from all over the world. Because we've got nearly 14,000 people worldwide, right? We're in 30 plus countries, and we want to get that diversity. So people would be flying into Sonoma County or flying to London or wherever, right? So think about all that flight time, et cetera. Whereas now we literally jump on the phone together and work out how to do it. Now, it's not perfect yet. We're getting there, but let's be clear on something. It's not going to go back to the old way of everyone getting together, right? So we've got to master this, and this collaboration thing is one of the most important things. Keysight as a company has got to continue to work on and improve, and for the students listening in, embrace this collaboration idea. It's really important for future careers and the success of business and individuals.
You know, I want to touch on that because we're getting a lot of great questions. We've got almost 100 people that are watching and commenting, which is great. But Bridget asked a really good question that is related to what you guys are saying. And it's, you're realizing that some of the inefficiencies that you had before when you had to bring everybody together in an office. So do you think that some of these jobs will remain fully digital even after COVID is over?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a little, I'll chime in first, Hamish, and then you can add some. It's a little early to tell, but there's a lot of research out there saying that this COVID has actually not changed what was already happening, but sped it up. So with 5G, with employees and students becoming untethered from their home office or their home desk, you can now take a call in the middle of the park. You could take it from a city, somewhere else. You could take it from your car, anywhere. People have a lot more flexibility. And with COVID, we're really starting to realize that people can be just as productive and effective in a different location. some cases they may be able to be more effective because from a personal perspective, they're able to be more flexible with their work-life balance. Yeah.
And maybe Alicia, Brandon, just to go back to the prior comment and build on what Alicia just said. What Alicia says is absolutely correct. And actually, where we do have physical spaces, like say our site on Fountain Grove in Santa Rosa, we're already talking about repurposing big parts of that to get away from desk to collaboration areas. So this collaboration idea I talked about, it's important we're able to do it virtually, but it's also important that where we do have physical space and we want to use it, we want to focus on collaboration versus everyone having their desk that they think is theirs and no one's allowed there with it, right? That's a home, that's your home environment now. That's not going to be what the work environment is going forward.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was speaking to another manufacturer, another local manufacturer near where Keysight is, Medtronic. And the person who I was talking to said, you know, you used to have to justify why you needed to work from home and not go in the office. And going forward, there are a lot of jobs where you're going to have to justify why you need to go into the office. And I thought that was a really, really just interesting statement in itself. But, you know, I've got to imagine, though, that there are either particular jobs or even particular people who really just find it difficult when they can't meet face to face. How do you deal with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the biggest troubles that we had when we first moved to this remote environment. People had a real difficulty communicating only on email or only by voice. And I would say one of the biggest adjustments Keysight had to make was the simple thing of just turning on the camera. It sounds so simple, but for a lot of companies, some people felt like it was a little too personal. They felt like, you know, you can see my bedroom in the background, you know, people are seeing my personal space. Maybe they didn't want to get dressed up for work anymore. If they were working from home, they were in their pajamas. But I think what people have found is that eye-to-eye, face-to-face contact changes the communication. I have never had a staff meeting. I have an international staff meeting with people from all over the world. And since we have turned our cameras on, it's almost like we're together. And I know that sounds a little corny. And I think, you know, younger people already know this, right? They're already using their cameras in FaceTime mode all the time. And so perhaps they already get it. But if you don't have the camera on, you can't tell if someone's happy or sad or mad or confused or frustrated. And it really streamlines the conversation back to, I would say, equivalent to when we were together before. So the big thing for us is having the cameras on for all conversations, or at least most. And I've never heard someone say, gosh, I wish that meeting didn't have the cameras on. That was a terrible waste of time. Everyone usually is happy to see everybody's faces and smiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to admit, all my coworkers didn't see so much of my dog when I would go into the office.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
exactly.
he's always right next to me. So, you know, that brings up the next question I have, which is that everyone has things going on at home. And I know that several of the students that are watching this have siblings that are trying to, maybe they're in a different grade and they're trying to work on classes, or they've got parents that are also trying to work, or they've got a dog that's barking that I think last time we connected that happened. So how does Keysight deal with those kinds of distractions, whether it's family or animals, or maybe even just somebody knocking on the door?
Sure. Which you want to go?
So I'll start. You know, when we first turned the cameras on, you could tell there was a lot of people that were very, I'll say, stiff, and you know, there's a lot of this kind of thing going on. You know, telling people to get out of your house or be quiet. But what we've decided to do is kind of embrace that. So it puts a lot of stress onto people if they think they have to have this perfect view. The reality is we are working from home or going to school from home, and our homes are places where other people are, other animals are, you know, kids, noises. And so embrace that. So, you know, if you see a dog walk by, you know, ask about it. You know, who tell me more about your dog. What's your dog's name? allow that time for interruption, because it allows it to feel more like when we were all together, right? If you were at work and someone got a funny picture from their kid and wanted to share it with you, you would pause your meeting and you would share it. Allow that in meetings, in Zoom meetings and in calls, to bring that kind of human element and the empathy back. It's stressful being at home, especially in Sonoma County. People have gone through the fires. We've had COVID. It's hot. There's all kinds of challenges, and people's real lives are going on. So be flexible, be empathetic, ask questions about what you see when you see something in the background, and be kind to your kids or to your parents or whoever it is that's walking in, and allow those things. You shouldn't feel nervous or embarrassed about it.
Hamish, you want to add to that, or?
I think it was great. The only thing I'd add is that this is stressful for all of us, right? And I think if we just there's no one that's not feeling stress. It's tough times. I think the word Alicia used, this empathy for each other, is really, really important. And frankly, how I approach it is, for me, I'm thankful for anyone who can call in on calls and keep our business going. I am, right?
Yeah.
When you have problems, when kids are having problems logging into their class, or I'm having problems logging into a Microsoft Teams meeting, don't be embarrassed about it. You're probably not the only one having problems logging in. There's something going on. It's life, right? People are late, right? Everyone phoning in and spending the first 15 minutes apologizing for being late. Stop. There's technology challenges. Don't worry about it, right? It's just the world we live in today. So I think it's kind of, you really got to shift your mentality that way, and essentially just be appreciative, right, of people, of everything that people are going through right now.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Somebody on the chat here has a good question that is maybe a bit beyond Keysight and a bit beyond manufacturing in general, but it's what kind of jobs, and really I would expand it and say what industries are going to be the most affected by COVID after COVID. I'll kind of start it, if that's okay, and just say, there are a lot of jobs that obviously cannot be done through virtual means. You can't necessarily build a house over a computer, but there are certain parts of building a house, as an example, that can be done over a computer when you're building plans or designing the wiring in the walls or something along these lines. A lot of that can be done virtually before the hands-on work has to get done. I assume the same goes for something like Keysight. You've got a lot of people working on engineering or drafting designs for something. A lot of that can be done virtually, and a lot of that collaboration can be done virtually. But there's got to be somebody at some point that then has to build it, right? That then has to, use a soldering iron or a hammer or whatever that may be to build something. And I assume that has to be done based on the technology you have at Keysight. That it might have to be done on site. Can you talk a little bit more about that and like what particular jobs and careers might be affected most?
Sure. Want me to take that, Alicia, to begin with? Or?
Sure, go for it. Yep.
So Brandon, just to bring this home for people, right? As we speak right now, okay, we probably have, I'm going to guess, between 600 and 800 people working at Keysight on our Function Grove site. Okay, so let's just put this in perspective. When we're talking about working at home, right, we've got about 5,000 people still going to our sites every day. Because you're right, some jobs can't be done, okay? But for the jobs that can be done at home, keeping those people at home is important, because for the jobs that can't be, those people that have to go on site, they're safer with fewer people being on site, okay? So you're absolutely right. There are some jobs that cannot, in fact, there are many jobs that cannot be done remotely, okay? So then it's the attitude of making sure that you focus on employee safety, et cetera, which is actually a big part of what Alicia does. But remember as well, all industries were going through modernization anyway, right? AI, right? It was coming in, right? Robots, okay? We talk about building houses. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of stuff that can be done digitally, but there's some stuff that still requires people to physically go to the site. But I will challenge this. There are actually some of those jobs that in 5 years' time, it's a robot going to be turning up on your site. Okay. Now, again, all the technology dependent, because if every house being rebuilt right now in Function Grove had robots turn up there tomorrow, the networks can't cope with it, so they wouldn't be able to build the sites, right? So this is all intertwined. So I want to be clear. I don't think there's any jobs that go away because of COVID-19. Okay, it's not, COVID-19 doesn't change a complete industry, etc. There's a great example. You should say hello. Is that your husband?
That's my husband.
Okay, awesome. There's a great example of the introduction. He's got your cat from Poland, right? The cat's from Poland?
Yes.
Awesome.
Cat's from Poland.
Okay. Sorry, Brandon, but so no jobs that don't go away. Some jobs change, but for the ones that really can be done remotely all the time, I think it's going to be really important we master what we've talked about, working remotely, digitally.
Yep. Thank you, Alicia, for proving the point there. You know, you never know what's going to happen at home. Go ahead. You were going to say something, Alicia?
Oh, I just wanted to add one little thing. It's amazing what can be done with one of these phones. We have, just on the construction topic, and this is something that, you know, some kids might be having their first job in construction or in one of the trades. We are doing some work on our house. It amazes me how much work can be done on the phone when you decide that that's what you're going to do. So you turn on the camera, you flip it around, you show someone what you're looking at, and you move on. So we are adapting really quickly to this virtual world, just again, faster than we ever planned on, but it's possible.
So we are running near the end. So I'm just going to ask everyone to just maybe hang on as we just go a little bit past our time, because actually I'm just going to blame it on all the students who are asking all these great questions that are adding to our time. But I really want to talk technology, because so many of us were thrown into this virtual world, and we have to rely on our phones or our computers or apps like Google Classroom or Zoom. And when we were kind of thrown to the wolves there, we at the same time learned something new. We learned some new skills, and we're constantly learning new skills, you know, as we're moving towards this kind of more digital future. So I want to hear from you, as we're learning these skills, do you think that these are going to help us going forward into these future careers that we're talking about? And if so, how?
Oh, they're life-changing. I mean, I'll just speak from my own personal experience. I consider myself a pretty savvy person when it comes to business tools, Microsoft tools. But the collaborative tools I knew nothing about. In fact, I'm guilty of saying to someone back in December, don't ever show me one of these smart sheets again, which is a collaborative tool out there, which I'm kind of embarrassed now that I said that. But I was so used to my ways, I didn't want to change, that I wasn't really advancing myself. There are a lot of collaborative tools, Smartsheet, MS Teams, Google, the Zoom products, that can really advance you in the future. And what I would say is dive into this stuff, watch the YouTube videos, go to the websites, become an expert on it, because these are things that people don't know how to use out in the workplace. And if you come into, you know, a job or even into some of your college work and you already know how to use MS Teams or Smartsheets, these tools that really save people a lot of time, you're going to wow everybody. These are things that are not on a lot of resumes right now that you're learning right now. So be curious, go out, learn as much as you can, help each other. That's the best way to, bring yourself up to speed, is to actually train someone else on a tool. But yeah, Hamish, anything else?
I think you absolutely nailed that. Curiosity, right, is important. So, you know, before putting PowerPoint or Excel on your resume was important. Now I'd be literally making sure you're an expert in every collaboration tool and list them on your resumes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Really important.
So are there any cool technology tips that you guys can leave us with? You know, because we're all using technology, and maybe you could kind of say, you know, use this, or this is helpful, or something like that.
I would just say make sure you're really comfortable with your equipment and how to use it. Practice it with your friends. If you're having trouble logging on to a meeting and you stumble a few times, find a friend that you like or trust, or maybe a family member, so they can sort of practice getting those together. I'm sorry, my cat is like crazy. So yeah, just make sure you really know how to use your tools. And then I guess the other thing would be log in like 5 minutes early. It reduces your stress level. If you try and log in at the last minute and you have trouble, then you're going to be stressed, and it's not going to make your day happy. So those are my two recommendations.
Yeah, they're good ones.
Yeah. I used to have an older computer, and it would take so long to load up, but I knew that. So I would always be on 5 minutes early to give my computer that time to think. Luckily, I've got a new one since, but well, thank you both so much. I mean, we have so many questions, but we're definitely out of time. And I really, really, truly appreciate you both, but also all of the students that watch this. I do want to reiterate that this is such an important time. And if you let these skills just go to the wayside, you're kind of wasting it. It's like, you're kind of forced into this. Make the best out of it. Learn these technologies, learn how to collaborate and communicate. And also, as Hamish said, empathize with those that might have other things going on at their house. So take that to heart, put that in your resume, make it a part of who you are, because it's going to help you in almost any career you can get in the future. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Alicia and Hamish, thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you to our students and our teachers for working through this environment with us.
Thank you all.